you said using a calculator or otherwise, all right, calculate these. All right, so we're just gonna work it out regular way. Comes for 2 marks. So we have 5.5 divided by 3 2/3 plus 1 4/5. We're gonna convert all of these to, improper fractions. And let's go. So we said, remember now, the denominator times the whole number, and then you add the numerator. So it's gonna be 2 5s 10 plus 1. This is 11, and you put this back over the 2. Then there's a division sign here. 3 3s, 9 plus 2, that's 11 over 3, plus 5 1 5 plus 4, 9 over 5. All right, we're going to be doing this in parts. We're going to be approaching this part first. So we're going to be dealing with the division part. Remember, though, that we really don't necessarily divide fractions. We change the division sign to multiplication, and then we reciprocate or flip the fraction that comes after that upside down. So we have 11 over 2, and then the division, I'm going to point at it, the division turn into multiplication. And then the fraction at the back, which is this one, we're going to flip it upside down. There you go. So you're going to see 11 over 3 becomes 3 over 11. Now let's continue. At this time, we realize that we are able to cancel 11. 11 into itself, 1 time. 11 into itself, 1. So we just canceled 11. After canceling, then there's nothing else to be canceled. So then what we have now is 1 times 3, which is 3 at the top, 2 times 1 over 2. So the first piece is 3 over 2. We're going to add that to 9 over 5. The principle in adding fractions is that one has to take note of the denominators. The denominators are different when you're adding or subtracting fractions. When the denominators are different, we need to use what is called the LCM, right? So the LCM is definitely 10. 2 into the 10, 5 times. 5 times 3, give us 15. 5 into the 10, 2 times. 2 times 9, that's 18. And then there's an addition there, 33 over 10. You would have gotten your marks for that. All right. So we are looking at this question here. And this is how the number 1 question will come in. It's computation. So they want to know if you can work your calculators and stuff. So this question says, it says 165 times 0.38 square. Give your answer as an exact value. All this is saying is that you're going to be working out this 165 on your calculator. Don't think it's your brain you're going to use. Don't think so. 165 times, and you're going to put 0.38 on your calculator and square it. So they want to know that you are able to utilize your calculator. So it's going to be times 0.1444. So this section is testing to see how well you can use your calculator. So when you do that now, you multiply it and show them. And your answer will be 23.826. And it's a 1 mark question, just like that. So it's just to test you to see how well you're able to utilize your calculators in the exam. All right. Now, when you got that answer, I'm going to put it here. Let me put it on top here. It's 23.826. Then they're saying to you now, write your answer in AII. This was from AII. That was the answer from AII. Correct to 2 decimal places. And this is what I was saying when we were dealing with decimal places, that you will get something to work out and then they ask you to represent it a certain way. So they want you to represent this answer here, right here. All right, you're going to represent that correct to 2 decimal places. So I'm going to mark it up. Remember, when you're representing anything to 2 or any decimal place, you want to identify the digit that is occupying that spot. Number 2 is occupying that second decimal place spot. The next thing is when you identify the digit in the spot, you look immediately to the right. There's a number 6. Remember, there are 2 categories. If the number to the right is in the 0 to 4 category, you leave the spot. But if it is in the 5 to 9 category, you increase the spot by 1. You could definitely see that it is in the 5 to 9 category. It's a 6. So the 2 will move up to a 3. So the answer is 23.83 to 2 decimal places. Be advised that you can't just write 82 and move on. You have to think about what you're being asked to do. 23.83 would be the correct answer. Now they want you to represent this same answer as 3 significant figures. So I'm going to write it back so that we could talk about it. So I'm writing it right there. Bear in mind, and then I'm having it by the side now. Here it is now, so we're using it. All right. Now, so we're going to represent our answer to 3 significant figures. Remember, you're going back, you're not using this, you're using the old one still, which is the 23.826. Remember though, all digits are significant except 0, which may or may not be significant. So in that context, you're going to realize that the digit that is in that significant spot, yeah, the digit that is in that significant spot is number 8. So number 8 is in the 3rd significant spot. And then you're going to do the same rounding off. You're going to look to the immediate right. There is a 2. So the 2 is in the 0 to 4 category. So the spot must be left alone. The answer is going to be 23.8. Do not put 0 zeros there.
I never leave my folder open,
All right, hold on. Let me mute that person in the meantime. All right. Anybody that puts 23.800 is incorrect, because when there is a decimal point to the left and you start to count significant figures, everything is significant. So if you make the mistake and add zeros when the decimal point is gone, you have increased the number of significant figures, and they only ask us for 3. So you have to know when to stop. Context. Remember that 23.8 is the same value as 23.800. So it's like you're not giving it any value. That means the zeros does not make sense then. So the next question now says to the nearest whole number. Definitely, whole number. I really going to talk about this. We have 23.826. You see, the whole number part of this figure is the 23. The 0.826 is the decimal part. So then we are going to be rounding off to the nearest whole number. We're taking into consideration this number 3 here, right there. So that is the spot that must be changed or left alone. Now you look to the immediate right. There's an 8. The 8 is in the 5 to 9 category. So the spot move up by 1. So this becomes 24. So we are full circle, and that is why I look for this question, so that we could have a good idea of what a question from CXC looks like. Look at the mark that they're giving for this question. 1 mark, which suggests that you're not going to do a lot. You understand? So let us see what's going on. It says, Mr. Adams invested $5,000 at the credit union and received $5,810. You see that? He invested $5,000 and then received $5,810 inclusive of simple interest after 3 years. See that? Yep. So the question follows and it says, determine the simple interest earned. Remember, you started out with this in your account and then you came back 3 years after and realized it's that. Then you would have known that there is a growth. The growth of your money signifies interest was added. Okay? So then the simple interest would have been the money at the end subtracting what you had started with. And you would have realized that the interest is $810. That is our simple interest. All right, very good. So you could see that it's kind of straightforward. Putting it together, don't rush yourself. Just look at what you're dealing with and move on. All right, very good. Very good, very good. So that one wasn't bad. Now, there are follow-up questions, so maybe I could just keep minimizing the screen just a little bit to move up. So it could work right there. All right. And let's see what the question says. It says determine the annual interest rate paid by the credit union. Now, remember, the question asks for the rate. Look, it says the annual interest rate. Do not leave out the keyword rate. That means we're trying to find R. We don't know what R is. What do we know, though? We know that P is the money that you will start with. It's 5,000. You just got I, which is your interest, which was 810. I want you to understand how CXC set the questions so that you have to be thinking. And then you got T from the original, which was 3 years. So we got those information. This was what we were saying in the last class. If at all, they're going to ask you for one of the 4 things. They're going to give you 3, whether directly or indirectly, and ask you to find the other. So being that we have these, we can now proceed. Remember, I gave you a formula that you could use for rate. Rate is equal to 100I over P times T. Rate is equal to 100 times my interest, which is 810. And I'm going to divide this by principal, which is 5,000. And I'm going to multiply this by the time, which is 3 years. What I'm going to do is just to work out what is at the top. 81000. I'm looking at 81,000 divided by 15,000. When I multiply the 5,000 times the 3, 81,000 divided by 15,000. And then I'm looking at a rate of 5.0.4. So I'm looking at 5.4, all right, for my rate. This is my interest rate. CXC question, guys. So we did simple interest recently, and you could see how they're manipulating the thing, how they start you off, they tell you what you started with, what you have at the end of a certain time, and they're asking the question. So you just have to look, take your time, and pull through. We need to determine the length of time it will take for Mr. Adams' investment to be doubled. We did a question like this. So we're talking about what time will it take to double? What time will it take to double his investment? Remember, we suggested that if his investment will double, it means that his interest will be like his principal. Because if I started out with a $5,000, and we're talking about doubling this, it becomes 10,000. What would have caused the growth? What we call interest. That means with a doubling of that money, we're talking about the interest would have caught up the principal exactly. Now, the rates is what we are aware of. It is 5.4%. The time, we don't know because that's what they're asking us to find. It did say the length of time. That means we want to know how long it will take for the $5,000 to gain $5,000 as interest so that it becomes 10,000. That is all they're asking. Now let us push the screen up a little bit. we're going to put together the T formula. So using the T formula, we're saying 100I over P times R. 100 times our interest, but our interest is 5,000 this time, over P, which is 5,000, times R, which is 5.4. We have 500,000 right there. We want to divide that by 27,000.
18.652.
And
18.52.
18.52. All right, very good. 18.52 years. Very good move.